Good evening. Good to see everyone. We'll not call the meeting of the Liberty County Board of Commissioners to order. Miss Joe, that's more you all right. I would have worked with you.
Okay, I was just afraid you'd put me in jail, and I sure didn't want that to happen tonight in front of all these distinguished commissioners and this crowd.
And you'd been on live stream too.
So glad to be here. Y'all all smile, it's looking- That's why I leave.
Thank you for your inspirational. Mr. Brown, has the meeting been properly advertised?
Yes, sir, it
Is
has.
that how Judge Aspinwall made it in here? She heard about the meeting? Is that how she made it in here?
I don't know.
She came to bring me,
Your official
He's
paperwork?
official now. Official.
Then good to see everyone. Welcome to our first meeting of the month. We meet the first Tuesday, 6 o'clock, and the third Thursday at 5 o'clock, this very same place and time. And our meetings are live streamed. And let me say this too, 'cause just out of some previous conversation, the minutes are available for your review at any time, or quickly as we can have them processed. Then certainly, being a public agency, we are open to the public for your review, but especially we want your, as a community, please stay engaged, if you will. We know you may not be able to come to all the meetings, but when you get an opportunity, look at the meetings online, and your respective commissioners are all here representing the entirety of Liberty County. Please have dialogue with them, because we want to try to avoid as much miscommunication as we can. So we find out there's a lot of miscommunication that get people all stirred up for no good reason. And then when they talk to us, Commissioner Blunt, am I right? They find us altogether different, isn't it? So please see your respective commissioners for information you may need. Bishop Kendall Page is here. He's going to come and lead us in an invocation and our pledge of allegiance. Please stand for those two items.
Evening, Chairman and County Commissioners. Let's pray. Most holy and righteous God, we thank you for this day. We ask you to just continue to guide this county and these commissioners, God, to all truth. Give them the wisdom they need to make the vital decisions on how to move this county forward. We thank you for them. We thank you for their families, the dedication to bring betterment to this place. We thank you and we bless you in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. The chair made mention of Judge Nasser Aspinwall being here. Please make that so duly noted, Mr. Brown, Ms. Mosley. The chair also makes notice of our newly elected tax commissioner here, Mr. Jamie Sharp is here. Come, sir, and say hello to us in your own 2-minute way. Good to have you, sir, with us today.
Jamie, look here, just tell them the truth then, because I live next door to you.
Oh, that's why I'm tax commissioner, because of Mr. Walker? That's why. This is the board. First, pleasure to be here. General public, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Jamie Sharp. For those who do not know me, I am your tax commissioner, and I really don't have a whole lot to say. It's just a pleasure to be able to serve Liberty County and all the people in it. So I'm honored, and I'm very glad to be in this position.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Good job. Good job. You're right. 30 seconds. You're right. You're right. Commissioners, the agenda will require the approval by minutes from the month of January. What is your pleasure, please?
Make a motion for approval of meetings of January.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Motion and second, we approve January's meeting minutes, January 2nd and 16th. Any further discussion? All in favor, show of hands, please. Those minutes are approved. All right, always a proclamation. Dr. Bell is here, Karen Bell is here. She has two tonight, Relay for Life and Arbor Day. Let's just read those back to back if we will. And now, you have a different committee for Arbor Day? Okay. We'll still read them back to back, just take different photos. Okay? All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I am Dr. Karen Bell, and behind me and next to me, you have some of your event leadership for Liberty County Relay for Life, and our staff partner for the American Cancer Society, Ms. Lauren, do you want to say something right quick?
You go
Okay. So she's our PACE. Just to let you know that everyone that's standing here in front of you besides Ms. Lauren is volunteer. We volunteer for our community to have the best event and the best fundraiser that we can. So another birthday party is why we're here. And that's a way that we can celebrate our cancer survivors, support our caregivers, honor and remember our loved ones that may have lost the fight or the battle with cancer. We invite everyone here out to come to our another birthday party, which is on February the 6th from 5 to 7 at the Country Inn and Suites. We hope you will come out. It'll be a lot of fun, food, and a lot of sharing of different experiences throughout our cancer survivor stages dealing with cancer. Also bring your wallet, like they say, because we will have silent auctions and some other good fundraiser events up there also. Cancer is something that we would like to have not in this world anymore. I say the world because it affects everybody, a mother, a father, sister, brother, cousins, co-workers, and friends. So we fundraise, and that's what Relay for Life of American Cancer Society is a fundraiser for research for all cancers. And that's what makes a difference with this particular program. It's not just an event, it's a movement that we believe in, that we pour our heart into, and that we want our event, which is on May 2nd, 2025 at the Recreation Department from 6 to, we're gonna get it back 24 hours, but to 11. And there's also a survivor dinner the same day on May 2nd at 5 o'clock. So we hope that you all will participate. And since we are going to do back-to-back, we just want you to know that we cannot do what we do without Liberty County support, the teams that come to, that are involved. So we have a token of our appreciation to Liberty County. We surpassed our goal last year for 2024, and we look forward, we are way on our way to do the same thing in 2025. We are declaring that right now. But this is just a thank you to Liberty County and appreciation for your generous support in 2024. We cannot do it without you. On February the 6th, for another birthday party, we are all asking you to wear purple. You can put a flag up where you live or where you work. A ribbon up where you live and work as just a way to declare your support for cancer research and celebrating our survivors. So that's February the 6th. And you can do the hashtag Paint Liberty Purple on a social media, and that way all the pictures of whatever you do will go into one location and we can all enjoy it together. Just stay there.
Hey, this is a proclamation, Relay for Life of Liberty County, another birthday party. American Cancer Society, Relay for Life, another birthday party proclamation for Liberty County. Whereas the American Cancer Society Relay for Life movement brings together 4 million people at Relay for Life events worldwide to show their determination and commitment to help free the world from the pain and suffering of cancer. Whereas the Relay for Life of Liberty County is community-based and driven by volunteers who work together to bring the people and build the fund to fund the mission of the American Cancer Society. Whereas cancer continues to touch the lives of so many, in 2025, more than 1.6 million people will be newly diagnosed with cancer in the U.S. Whereas, thanks to funds raised through the Relay for Life movement, the American Cancer Society is able to invest in cancer research, provide free information and support for people facing the disease today, and educate people about how to reduce their risk for cancer or detect it early when it's easiest to treat, contributing to a 23% decline in cancer death rates since 1991. Now therefore be it resolved that the Liberty County Board of Commissioners of Liberty County, Georgia, do hereby proclaim February 6, 2025 as Relay for Life, another birthday party in Liberty County, and encourage citizens to let their passion inspire them to take the Relay for Life message to more people to raise more dollars, to fund our shared determination against cancer by participating in the Another Birthday Party event at Country Inn and Suites, Hinesville, to celebrate cancer survivors, to honor caregivers and remember loves on February 6, 2025 at 5 o'clock p.m.
Thank you. All right. So, hello again. Arbor Day. In 1872, a man by the name of J. Sterling Morgan in Nebraska requested that one special day be set aside for planting trees. This holiday is called Arbor Day. It was first started with them planting more than 1 million trees in one day. Now, Arbor Day is celebrated all over the world. Planting trees is important because they play a critical role in climate change by absorbing the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, improving our air quality, providing homes for animals, and offers numerous benefits to human health and well-being. Keep Lyric Beautiful will be giving away trees on February the 21st and February the 22nd. You can go to our website or our Facebook page to sign up for a tree. There are flyers and QR codes that we have back there in the back and we're going to hand out to you that you can use also. Please we just ask that you take this time to plant a tree, or if you know someone that wants a tree, please let us know. We have about 300 trees that we'll be giving away for Arbor Day. And that's it.
What day does that give away?
That's February the 21st and February the 22nd. So February the 21st, you'll be able to go to National Farmers Food on 196 from 9 to 12. And then in Midway, you can go to the walking trails right across from Target, down from Target. And then on Saturday, February 22nd, it will be with the recycling fairs, and that would be at Waltyville City Hall, and that's where the shred truck will be this time. People like following that shred truck. And also at the Liberty County Community Complex. And that's it.
Mr. Brown?
This is a proclamation for Arbor Day week, February 17th through the 21st, 2025. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas planting trees is the duty of all generations for all generations. That is why Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. In the state of Georgia, we recognize on the third Friday in February as Arbor Day. Locally, the Morning Glory Garden Club, Keep Liberty Beautiful, Liberty Live Oak Garden Club, ESG Inframark, the Hinesville Youth Council, Liberty County Youth Commission, the City of Hinesville, and the Liberty County Commission work together to remind residents of this special time of year. And whereas the Morning Glory Garden Club recognizes and celebrates Arbor Day and has planted trees and shrubs in the Main Street Park and Bryant Commons in memory of deceased club members and loved ones for more than 20 years, in the hopes that these plantings will enrich the beauty and quality of our community and protect our environment. And whereas, further, the garden clubs and KLB have enlarged the scope of Arbor Day by supporting the planting of food crops and plants which attract pollinating insects to help plants thrive. And KLB also provides free trees to local citizens and groups to plant throughout Liberty County. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heat and cooling costs by moderating the temperature, clean the air and produce life by providing oxygen, provide rest areas for humans during workouts and leisure activities, and furnish habitat for wildlife. Whereas trees are an amazing renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products used in our daily lives. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore I, Donald L. Lovett, do hereby proclaim February 17th through 21st, 2025 as Arbor Day week in Liberty County, Georgia. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. In witness whereof, I have unto set my hand and cause the great seal of the County of Liberty to be affixed this 4th day of February in the year of our Lord, 2025.
Okay. If the Relay for Life team will come first, and then we'll follow it with the Arbor Day. Seeing commissioners, if you'll gather around for the group photo.
You ain't got no, purple shirt. Oh, she's gonna be a tree. I got one I'll bring you back.
And that's for you.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
This for real life.
Yeah, I think you want to take a picture first. Let's go.
A little closer.
Arbor Day on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Relay for Life.
Arbor Day on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Arbor Day. He got to stay with the program. Yeah, it was. Oh, I get a lapel?
Yes, Mr. Mosley.
I messed that one up pretty good. That's right there, so it can be. Now read it.
Arbor Day?
Not Arbor Day.
Small Diamond, Miss Carter?
Hold on, you forgot the tree.
Do 1, 2, 3.
Mr. Moses not liking the.
Hold the tree.
Donahue.
All right, thank you, sir.
He's so quiet.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear.
Tree.
Mr. Trent Long.
Yes, sir. We have been requested by Windstream to allow them to install a 48-count fiber optic cable along Elam Road. They do have it spelled wrong on here, but that would be in the back 5 feet of the right-of-way. Most of it will be a direct bury. Other parts will be in an 1.25-inch conduit, where they'll do a directional bore under driveways, roadways, or drainage structures, anything that's in conflict with what they're doing. We reviewed it. We concur with their plan and are recommending to the Board of Commissioners to allow them to install their fiber optic cable in the Liberty County right-of-way along Elam Road. So we just, generally part of our practices is to bring things like this before the commissioners. That way they know what's going on. That way you guys can have a vote and a say-so in what utilities are going in our right-of-ways so that you know what's happening.
Which company is this, sir?
Sir,
Which provider is this? Which company?
this is Windstream.
Windstream.
And they provide Long County? Or are they moving?
They,
to
Long
Liberty,
County, and
or-
this is going to a cell tower on West 15th Street. So this
Oh, so
project
they're
is
gonna
to
be coming
benefit
on
of,
in?
yeah. Their project, this project they're talking about is just in the Liberty County portion. So you
How about
got,
when they get on 15th Street?
they've got other cables that they're connecting to
Oh,
already.
okay, this is just.
So they have other infrastructure. So their project starts right here. The Liberty County line is somewhere right in here. And then, they're kind of coming right up Elam Road and they're connecting to, tower there. So, not tower, but existing infrastructure. So they have existing infrastructure both places, but this is to benefit a Verizon tower on West 15th Street in Fort Stewart. Apparently it needs more capacity.
Trent, I'm just reminded though of, what's the company that did theirs in town?
Oh, man.
Hargrave.
No, clear.
Clear, yeah.
Clearwave.
This needs to be managed much better than that was managed.
Yes, sir, that one was in some really tight quarters too, and so, yeah, I agree. What we can do is, as they're working on this, we'll kind of keep an eye out to make sure that they're there. Usually, they'll try to let us know when they're gonna be out there to work, and then that way we can kind of make sure everything's going in the right spot, because we want to make sure they're in the back 5 feet of the right way.
When they get up almost to Barry, then they're gonna flip over to the other side,
Yes, ma'am.
rather than going up by the church.
Yes, ma'am. The infrastructure they have to tie to is on opposite sides of the roads. Where they start and where they end are on opposite sides of the
Okay,
road.
okay.
Mr. Brown, can we, and Mr. Mosley, can we put this on our website, you know, because another thing with the Clearwave was folk didn't know, everybody's calling, what's going on, who's digging, you know, they thought the city was doing it and all kind of ideas were floating out there, so whatever we can do to alert the citizens this is coming, so,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir. No, and I mean, if we can get it on the website, that way everybody knows, that's good.
I think,
And I don't see Patrick here tonight, so
I mean, yeah, we can get it to him too, can't we? Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah,
I'll let him know.
yeah, please, please.
Commissioner Thrift, if you go down, if you leave 196, you don't drive far till you in Long County, right? Trent?
Yes, sir.
correct.
It's, all right, so is that part also in the city of Hinesville?
The city of Hinesville, unless it's
I don't- they
changed,
don't have
all,
signs
all
on
of Elam Road, I think, is in Liberty County. I don't think this little white area of Hinesville juts out across our right of way. But yeah, there is a portion of Devereaux Road that falls outside.
Not that.
It's there, the start is outside of Liberty County.
I don't
Where you,
think
you
there's
see the, I'm sorry,
eight
there you
homes will
see
be
down here,
If that.
that's actually
Really?
in
I was
Long.
wondering about that.
Yeah, and so they'll pick up somewhere right in here, and they're in our right of way up to here, and they connect to a point right up there.
But right there where it says Barley Drive, when you're going into Waterfield,
Yes, sir.
that is the city of Hinesville, correct?
Yes,
So they'll
this,
be on
this
the
is City
opposite
of
side of
Hinesville.
the road there, and that'll be in the county.
Yeah, this, we maintain this segment of Elam Road. You
They
guys
want
don't
it for
maintain
free?
any of Elam Road, do you? Gary? Hinesville.
No, I wouldn't
Y'all just come up to the intersection of Barley Road, right? Okay,
I
that's
know
what I
the
thought.
road comes out of Hinesville onto that right there.
That's
I
right.
thought
Yeah, we maintain all of that portion of Elam Road, the Liberty County portion.
are we giving it away, or are we just letting them use it, or is there franchise money?
That's a question I don't know the answer
All
to.
these questions.
I don't know the answer to that question. So I don't know how our
Generally,
franchise
we
fees.
haven't charged a fee for easements where it's not a permanent dedicated easement, and we do get franchise fees back.
So that'll be permanent.
Could be, could not be.
Yeah, I really don't know how the franchise fees work, so I apologize that I don't know that.
They-
I
based on
will.
Number of subscribers.
Kelly probably can figure that out for you. You and him together, get together on it. If we need to get some money from them, we need to get some money from them.
So this requires our approval, sir?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Thrift?
Yes, sir, that is in my district, and I make a motion that we approve the easement request for Windstream.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Motion second, we approve the easement request from Windstream presented by our county engineer. Mr. Brown has noted that there will be franchise fees to follow this install. Any further discussions? All in favor, show of hands, please. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Intergovernmental Agreement, Midway, Attorney Kelly Davis. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I know that presentations have been made to the board before tonight's meeting about the proposed intergovernmental agreement with Midway, and this agreement has been prepared consistent with those presentations. But in a nutshell, the county is agreeing to provide essentially the same services it provides in the unincorporated areas to the city of Midway. And in return, the city of Midway, for the first year, will reimburse the county based on invoices submitted to the city of Midway for the actual costs and expenses incurred by us in the startup and the provision of services during that initial year term. During that first year, at the expiration of that year, it's anticipated that we'll establish a fire prevention tax district where, much like in the unincorporated areas of the county, an assessment or tax will be levied against the taxpayers in the city of Midway to defray the cost of the provision of the fire services within the city. And of course, the city will fully cooperate with us in those matters, and they'll enact whatever ordinances that we need to fully authorize us to provide the services within their city limits. I know the county in the past has been concerned with other intergovernmental agreements that we timely receive payment and have mechanisms in place to ensure those payments are timely received. And so this agreement addresses that as well, imposes default interest, and gives the county a wide range of remedies in the event payments aren't timely received. That's not anticipated here. Midway is a great partner, but based on the concerns with other agreements you've had in the past, these provisions were included in this agreement as well. The city will cooperate, as I mentioned. They will make available their water system for the fire department and use of their water without charge for any services that are provided. And other than that, there's not a whole lot to the agreement. If there is a dispute, the parties will do their best to work it out, and if we can't, we'll mediate. That's a condition to any litigation, as it should be, with good sister agencies within the county. But unless you have other questions, I would just ask that you authorize the chairman to execute the agreement subject to whatever changes might be recommended by me. We probably have one or two issues we need to iron out with the city of Midway. So rather than have to come back before you, I would ask that you simply authorize the chairman to execute the agreement.
So the agreement is in their hands?
It is not.
It's not?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think, I'm not sure what point this month they'll be considering it, but I'll be happy to go to their meeting and help present it as well.
Okay, well, we need to know in case one of us is able to also attend that meeting.
Yes, sir. We'll find out.
When is the next meeting?
Friday?
I don't know their schedule.
Monday. Okay.
Monday, yeah. Let's try to go. Okay, all right.
The communication, Mr. Chairman, is just been between yourself, Commissioner Stevens, and the people
I mean, the whole board, we all had this
in
before.
Midway.
Yeah,
But I was trying to find that document, and I didn't see it in my packet.
yeah.
We-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Kelly presented it to us
No,
before.
sir, this is hot off the press. This
Yeah.
is an ongoing project, so.
Yeah, he came to us first, then he went then he went to them. And I thought that their attorney would have had time to,
Before Monday's meeting, I'll get, I believe it's Mr. Perkel.
It is.
I'll get
It
with
is.
him, and I'll make myself available to review the agreement with him. And that's the reason I asked that you authorize the chairman to execute, subject to whatever changes I might recommend. After talking with Mr. Perkel, he may have some requested changes.
okay. All right. Commissioner Stevens?
Motions?
Yes, sir.
Chairman, I make a motion that we, Liberty County Board of Commissioners, enter into an agreement with Midway City Government to provide fire service as stated in the contract.
Is there a second to the
And
motion?
if I could, just amend that, subject to whatever changes might be recommended and approved by the chairman. Yes, sir.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to the, I wouldn't call it a draft, but to the tentative agreement between Liberty County and the city of Midway.
That's fine.
Pending approval for both agencies.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? All in favor, show of hands, please. All right, motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And they meet on Monday, sir. Okay. Agreement for collection of municipal taxes for the city of Hinesville.
Who has that one?
Mr. Brown's coming up here. Chief, I didn't see you all out there. Thank y'all for coming.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, that the tax commissioner has in the past performed collection of city taxes on behalf of the city, since that same database is available in their office, and it's the most efficient way to do that. So with the previous tax commissioner, Mr. Jones, he had an agreement to do that for the city of Hinesville, and Mr. Sharp is here and has talked to the city and would like to renew that agreement, and the city has asked him to do that. So before you is really the same agreement, I think with a couple of small modifications, but basically the terms are the same of it, the amounts are the same, to contract with the tax commissioner of Liberty County to provide those services. And Mr. Sharp is here to be able to answer any questions. He's already been up, but he obviously knows this very, very well. The city has approved it, and as a governmental body that's connected with the funding of that constitutional office, then it requires in those intergovernmental agreements that the board be party, Board of Commissioners be party to that agreement also.
Okay. And just FYI, I did have the opportunity to speak to my counterpart, Bryan County. They have the same procedure. So it's not just a Liberty County thing.
No, sir, it's not.
I thought it was state, pretty much across the state.
That I don't know.
Is there, well, I guess, you know, you
That I
probably
don't
have
know.
some cities that
Yeah.
take up,
Their own,
counties take
their
up 3 or
own,
4 of them.
yeah. Or cities may do their own.
Cities do their own billing.
billing.
City of Hinesville used to do that.
Their own
Right,
billing.
used to do that.
Okay. Chair, entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'm sorry. You want to, you wanted to? Yeah. All right, any further discussion?
Further discussion.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I just have a question, I guess, for Mr. Brown. Reading through this, this agreement, I might be wrong, but can you clarify? So this is an annual agreement, correct?
Actually, I don't think it's annual. I think it goes for the term of the commission. Let me look back real quick.
I thought I read where it says until,
I
I
wouldn't,
might be wrong.
I wouldn't think it would be annual, because if so, we would have done one for Virgil every year.
Right, that's what.
It does. It actually is set up to expire December 31st of '25.
That's what.
Well, no, I'm sorry. It automatically renews for a basis not to exceed 50 years unless the city, county, or tax
Okay,
commissioner
okay.
notifies the other party of its intent to terminate.
Okay.
So it's got an automatic renewal in it.
So it's automatic long as the current tax commissioner is in
Correct,
office.
correct, correct.
You said up to 5 years, or?
Actually, it extends, and you may have noticed this in the agreement that Kelly brought, but generally, governments have a right to extend not to exceed 50 years.
50.
So, yeah, so I don't know if Mr. Sharp will be in there 50 years. Maybe.
No, I won't be.
But, yeah, okay. But it would, right, and that's part of the
Okay.
Constitution. Yes, sir.
Right, so I guess another question, so is it just for, I mean, all collections, correct? So is that the same thing with like the hospital authority? And
He automatically, yes, sir, he automatically does that because y'all levy a millage for that. So all of that comes through. But yes, sir, he provides those same services.
Right.
And Board of Ed.
all right.
Further discussion? Yes, sir. All in favor, show of hands, please.
Yeah.
All right. It's approved, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sharp.
Bring in the money.
Mr. Sharp, what Mr. Payne has done for us, and even we kind of start this with Ms. Linda when she was in an office, periodically, if you would come before this commission, just update us. The more we're finding out that the citizens are requiring more and more and more, what's the word, communication? Anything we can do to help with that process, we'd appreciate it. So twice a year, I guess, would be fine. All right, so we'll program that. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
See you later.
Next door neighbor.
Yeah. MWB update, am I right? Ms. Delisa Cliff?
Mr. Chairman,
Oops.
members of the board have requested that we review our MWBE program, and Mr. Brown and I met Mrs. Cliff several times on last year and recently, so she's going to come and provide some recommendations to make some modifications to our current program.
Okay. It's a little warmer here to y'all.
It is, which is shocking. Normally it's freezing.
Really?
It's cold over here.
Really?
It's gonna be.
Joe, what you do, bump it up or down? Turn the heat up?
Turn the cold on.
Gracious.
It was warm to me. I thought it was.
All right.
We'll get you out there. Ms. Cliff, good evening.
I
Good,
get up and go when I get ready.
good
Behave.
evening, Chairman and Commissioners. I stand before you again this evening to actually go over your MWBE program policies, not in depth, but to just give you a cursory look over how your policy has actually performed over the years. So if you remember, I guess your policy actually was initially adopted in 2012. And so you want to kind of sort of get an idea of how well it's doing, what we can do differently to actually improve the program and things of that nature. So if you can walk through this with me, that way. So of course, when you established the MWBE program, you wanted to make sure that it increased the participation for procurement for minorities and women, small businesses that were certified by a certifying agency, right? And so what that meant was that any company that actually got a prime contract had to actually have MWBE participation in their particular activities. So if the scope of work for that project required for there to be subcontracting opportunities, there was a 13% goal that was established for every project. That was over $100,000 for construction. Now, bearing that there are some projects that don't basically meet that requirement, so of course, those particular projects do not have MWBE participation goals set for them. There are some projects that are considered to be specialized projects, and those particular projects do not have MWBE goals attached to them. But the overall program mission and objectives was to increase participation for procurement of goods and services for the Liberty County Board of Commissions. It also helped to provide technical assistance and resources to those small businesses that might not otherwise have activities that they could actually participate in, like workshops and things of that nature, connecting them to resources they might not be able to identify on their own, and to also foster economic growth. So, with saying that, some of the program policies, successes have been, you implemented a friendly policy, I believe, in 2012. Does that policy need to be reviewed and revamped? It does, and so I'll go through that a little bit later on in the presentation. But at the same time, you've increased some of the connections between prime contractors and subcontractors. I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like, whether it is a connection between prime contractors and MWBEs or prime contractors in some other type of small business organizations. And then the visibility for the county's program. How do you might ask yourself the question, how do I know that my particular policy for the county is visible to the community? Even though we are not conducting workshops for the county per se, any other time that we're conducting workshops for any other entity within this community or any other entity outside of the community, I always make sure that I include the Liberty County Board of Commissions MWBE's policy. So that invites people from outside of our MSA to participate in the program as well. These are some of the challenges that I've actually encountered. And so you might hear these, you might think that these challenges are very intricate to just Liberty County, but I can assure you that they are not. I worked with other programs within our MSA, without our community, and it's across the state, across the board with some of these challenges. So some of the challenges are struggling with securing financing for larger contracts. A lot of our small businesses might not have the opportunity to get grants and things, or loans and things of that nature to actually bid for different projects. If they don't have the financial resources, even bidding as a subcontractor sometimes can be daunting, right? So again, that's some of the challenges that some of the smaller businesses have, is access to capital. I have a solution for you, or a recommendation for you as to how that can be accomplished and help to at least eliminate that particular barrier. And then one of the requirements that the policy currently has is that every company that basically comes in from a subcontracting perspective has to have a certification. That certification has to be from a certifying agency like GDOT, which GDOT does not certify MWBEs. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not, but GDOT basically certifies disadvantaged small businesses, and I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. So that certification sometimes is even a barrier, because when we look at the types of projects that are actually being done by the Liberty County Board of Commissions, you think about those projects that are going to be large in scope. And I'm just going to use some of the recent ones that you've had, the fire department and things of that nature. Even the Justice Center back in the day when you built the Justice Center. So you think about those particular companies that could perform the work on those projects may not be here in Liberty County, right? So then, of course, we're going outside of the MSA for certified firms. Navigating the complex procurement process, having the knowledge and the experience to do that can get to be, to me, overwhelming. So a lot of times people decide, hey, listen, I'm just not going to bid on that particular contract as a subcontractor because of the paperwork that I have to go through and the requirements that I have to meet in order to do so. So that's the challenges and a barrier that currently exist. And then, of course, insignificant prime contractor participation with some contracting opportunities. You know, you might find yourself in a situation on some projects where the prime contractor says, I can't find a subcontractor to perform the work, right? Sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it takes a little bit extra effort, and I have a recommendation, a solution for how we can bring those two groups of contractors together to actually provide an opportunity for them to continue to work together. And then tracking and compliance. I know that there's been a question about how much have we paid out for subcontractors that are in the MWBE field. I think that that's something that's hard to track, especially from my particular department, because at the end of the day, there's not one centralized repository that captures that information. I have a recommendation and solution for that as well. Any questions so far? Okay. All right, areas for improvement. We want to expand on training programs and mentoring for MWBEs, if they're MWBEs or SBEs, small business enterprises. Because I think that the more that we educate someone and to equip them with the knowledge that they need to how to bid on your particular contracts, attend what we call the pre-construction meetings and things of that nature, get to know what your procurement process is, and to be able to learn that process and how to move forward. And then providing some type of partnership with institutions like your CDFIs, your community development financial institutions that are outside of what you consider to be your traditional banking lending institutions that have some lending requirements that are a little bit less stringent than your traditional financing. Connecting them with those types of programs that exist too can definitely help. And then strengthen the contract compliance monitoring. And what does that mean? For me, on my side, it means that I have to make sure that the people that the companies say that they are subcontracting with are actually the people that are doing the work. How do we do that? We have boots on the ground, first of all, right? Second of all, we're monitoring every pay statement that comes through to make sure that the company that said that they're doing the work is actually getting paid to do the work. So strengthening those compliance monitoring pieces also is going to be very important. And then invest in technology for better tracking of how these MWBE dollars are being captured and spent. So I think that that would be a way for you all to see exactly whether or not your program is working or it's not, and anything that needs to be changed. Recommendations. So you heard me say earlier that there was a big challenge with having to find certified MWBEs within our community, right? And you also heard me to say earlier that a lot of times when we're awarding contracts now, those contracts are not necessarily awarded to subcontractors that are in the MWBE realm. They might be certified as DBEs, right? A disadvantaged business enterprise. Ask yourself, what's the difference? The DBE is a disadvantaged business enterprise that is what they consider as socially and economically disadvantaged, whereas an MWBE a certified firm is either race conscious or gender conscious. Either you're a minority, which is identified in that category for federal contract opportunities, or you are a woman. So there lies the difference. So recommending to switch your program from a MWBE program to an SBE program actually opens the door for those disadvantaged businesses of all types. And so where my thought process is, I feel like we will have more of a level playing field for other small businesses that are looking to get certified, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, that will actually create a less stringent process of getting certified. So you can create your own certifying arm. All right? And then increase small business certification participation by creating your own small business certifying arm within the county itself. And then develop target procurement goals for SBEs. We already have those goals set aside that are at 13%, but I really feel like we need to revisit that to determine exactly, is that something that we can continue to maintain? Because again, if you're looking at your various projects and you might not have enough small businesses or disadvantaged businesses to participate, is that 13% goal really realistic and attainable? So we never want to keep out a prime contractor from being able to perform the work and be awarded the projects if they can't meet those goals, because those goals are too lofty and they're not able to achieve them because we don't have the certified firms to do so. All right, and then enhance the compliance and accountability for prime contractors. Again, if you say what you're going to do in your pre-proposal, we expect for you to do that if you're awarded the project. And then improve the data collection and reporting mechanisms. Next steps. The next steps would be to conduct a detailed review, in which I've already done, for the procurement policies to align with SBE-driven initiatives. And what does that mean? Taking what your capital project goal is over the next year or so, evaluating that for the projects that you've already identified that you're going to do. Let's sit down and talk it through and determine whether or not there are projects that goals are going to be attached to or projects that goals are not going to be attached to, so that we can do one of two things. We can help those small businesses to get prepared to start bidding on those contracts. If you know something before it happens, you can prepare yourself. But if you wait until the actual RFP comes out, it's hard to get ready. So we want them to help prepare them to get ready for projects as you guys are getting ready to start letting those projects on the street. Host stakeholder engagements, sessions to gather feedback from the small business community. I know I was in another community and we did this. We actually got together with the prime contractors and the subcontractors to say, hey, tell us about how this is working for you. What are some of the challenges that you're experiencing, and to determine whether or not we can actually increase something or improve something or implement something within our program that's going to make it easier for them to work together. And then develop a roadmap for transitioning the program to a more SBE type of program. So again, it's more inclusive and it's more, we may be able to spread it out a little bit wider when we look at our catchments net. And then plan for a follow-up presentation to the board regarding implementation updates, and then, of course, come back for quarterly updates for the board. And that ends my presentation. Any questions?
I think, well, I don't have to think. Yeah. So I saw your next steps. But I thought one of your slides was going to show some figures, some numbers of how well we,
that was one
like
of
a
the
report card, yeah.
That was one of the challenges that I said that we face.
Okay.
I know that I've met with Mr. Brown and Mr. Mosley, and we all agree, I think, that is something that's kind of difficult for us to do because we don't have one centralized repository where that data is kept. So say, for instance, that I will get a copy of the payment request. So that payment request may come over sometimes, and sometimes I don't get it. So if I don't get all of the payment requests at the same time on that, or one time for that particular project, I can't capture the data. And I think that there was projects and things of that nature. Again, it's about what tracking systems do you have to actually track that type of data. You know, is it in your finance department? Your finance department is not paying subcontractors. Your finance department is paying prime contractors. So there has to be a mechanism built into your system to say, okay, when I receive this pay request, then this is the amount that's allotted for that subcontractor, and it's captured in-house, or you provide an opportunity for me to continue to get the reports that I need to capture the subcontracting data on my end. So there's not a mechanism for tracking.
Okay, well, take me back to elementary school then. So that's been recognized as a challenge, for lack of a better word. So how will we remedy that? And you said earlier that you have been in contact, you work with other communities, so what have they done? I mean, are we all in the same boat, or has someone figured it out, we can just borrow their template?
What I just talked about is either providing a tracking mechanism on your internal processes in your finance department, where they're also tracking once that pay request comes in, because the pay request comes in with the subcontractor's payments for that particular period. So either your finance department is tracking it, or you provide a vehicle for me to continue to get every one of those pay requests that a subcontractor is being paid on, so then I can track it on my side. So that's how it's worked in the past with other organizations that I work with, because remember that this type of department works hand in hand with your finance department. So you usually have finance procurement and this particular diversity, equity, inclusion program attached to it. So all of that is hand in hand, because your finance department is what? Creating the budget for your projects, right? Your procurement department then knows what they have to spend on that project, and then once it gets over to your engineers, then that's of course led on the street with you knowing what your budget is going to be. So all of that's an inclusive process, if that makes sense.
It does. So if I'm hearing you correctly, and I'm going to let Commissioner Frazier chime in, we have a program, and it is working. We just don't know to what extent or what financial extent is working.
Right.
Right, okay.
What I can say, and maybe Mr. Brown and Mr. Mosley can chime in on this, I know that from my perspective, there hasn't been a lot of money spent in the MWBE side. It might be for the WBE, but not the MBE side, because, again, those particular firms are not certified as an MBE. They are certified as DBEs, which is socially and economically disadvantaged, whereas the MBE is race and
Women.
gender
Yeah.
disadvantaged. So your dollars are being spent in the DBE component already.
Okay, all right. All right, Commissioners, questions for Mr.?
I just want to make a comment, Mr. Chairman. I mean, Ms. Cliff was talking about how difficult it is to bring stats in, but, success to me would be, part of it would be the court of public opinion. I mean, is anybody screaming and hollering that they're not being treated fair that you know of? I mean, has anyone contacted you? No one has called me and said, hey, man, they doing this and they doing that. I hadn't heard a thing. I mean, we had this program, you said, since 2012. I was on the commission in 2012 when it was first presented. And it's a good program. I mean, it's, again, I think public opinion is the best measuring stick. Ain't nobody saying nothing to me about it.
And, Mr. Chairman, and listen, I would think that the DBE and MWBE are actually getting contracts. But we just don't know the extent of the amount, but they are being awarded those by the prime
The process.
contractor.
Yes.
Okay, and I think that's what we really intended it for it to be, to me. It wasn't about the money, the actual figure, to me, I'm not sure, but they're getting contracts. So-
Yeah, the
And
protocol,
we're getting things built.
protocol's being used, it's been applied to.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's- okay.
I mean, I did have a guy one time say, man, that's a lot of paperwork. Well,
Yeah.
so what? I mean, if you want it, that's what it is. I mean, fill out the paperwork.
Yeah.
Get some help filling out, whatever you need to do. I mean, here's the program, here's what it calls for. And if that's your reason for being left out is because you don't want to fill out the paperwork, good Lord, you know?
And that's the technical assistant part that we offer.
Right.
And we offer that to
Remember
them.
that.
So the only thing that I tell them that we can't do, because we are sitting on the front end of the pre-proposal side. So I will not endeavor in helping them to write a proposal. I won't,
no.
I mean, that's a conflict for us.
No.
But what we can do, we can talk to them about certification, and we actually do the certification applications for them. So that technical assistant part does exist, if they need it.
Say it again for the ones in the back.
All right,
I just, Mr. Chairman, I know we bid out a lot of stuff. I wouldn't even speculate how many millions we spent, you know, in the years, but our end result is, you know, just like you said, you want to make sure it's done right. And the other thing is, we want to make sure the product that is being built, whether it's a roadway, building, whatever it is, we want to make sure it's done right. Now, you know, as far as people, you know, saying, well, I can't get the paperwork and do this, that, and other, I don't know. I mean, I know you've been here and you can help them, but I haven't had anybody complain. Now, I've complained, you know, to the engineer that may have a project that he's doing, you know, and I expect him to go back and look at it, but, you know, I haven't had any public saying, why don't I get this job? I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't even know what they're applying for, but I do know that our main goal, or my main goal, is to sit up here and see the taxpayers' money spent right, but our end result is if they're building onto the McIver Center, or they've come uptown and built this building, or if he's, or she is, you know, cutting grass for the county. We just want that done right. And that's all I mean, I haven't had any complaints except for just what I mentioned, you know, you got a turn lane that may need to be moved or something like that, but, you know, we can address that, but unless somebody else has got something, I ain't
yeah. So
bid out no job.
you gave your recommendation, so do we have a timeline, a work plan? We're going to put together a plan of action to try to bring some of these recommendations to fruition?
Yes, sir. I can work with Mr. Mosley and Mr. Brown on that
Okay.
work plan and the timeline.
Okay. Would you welcome any commissioner participation?
Sure, I welcome all of you to come participate.
Okay, all right, commissioners, you heard it right here. She's open,
Doing a great job.
opening up to
Thank you.
participation. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
We just got to make sure that we follow up
Yes,
with your
sir.
recommendations. Yes.
Just for clarification, I thought whenever we put this in place, I thought it was always about the money, correct?
It was about
Inclusion.
economic, inclusion
Absolutely.
and economic empowerment
There we go.
for small business in our community.
I was just verifying it.
All right.
Yeah, so when you say that, Mr. Frazier, I agree, it's about the money. And the thing that I think that we all should be mindful of is the money is local.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So what you're experiencing now is not local money, not the money that's staying here. Okay, so what we had to do, because there was not enough firms that were capable, I say ready, willing, and able, right? Those are the three things that they have to be. Ready, you can be willing, but if you're not ready, you're not gonna be able to do it. So ready, willing, and able in our community to actually perform the work. So what did we do? We expanded the MSA to Bryan, Chatham, and everywhere in between. So you even get people from Atlanta. You get subcontracting firms from Florida. You get subcontracting firms from everywhere, because remember now, when you look at the DBE certification is through GDOT. And that GDOT certification is what we consider as a unified certification program. It's patterned after the Federal Department of Transportation. So anywhere that you go in the United States, there is a DBE certification. So if a subcontractor comes to you from Florida, and that prime contractor has a relationship with them, they're gonna go with that firm out of Florida.
Because they know them.
Right. So people do business with people they know, they like, and they trust. So, I mean, when Mr. Frazier says that, it's about money, and it's about money that's local. So I think you all have a local preference.
We do.
That can actually maybe, you know, in your scoring process, be adjusted to hold a little bit more weight. Because if that process is done, then I think that you'll maybe get more local participation, especially if we as we're modifying the program to be a resemblance of the SBE program.
Even with local participation, is there a way to measure how well that's doing even? So I remember my days on the school board, they had a policy too that they, X percent had to have been local. And we used to get reports periodically. I won't call some company names, but some suppliers in town were always qualifying for the local participation, and we could get an idea of what was spent on the local participation.
Most of our scoring is done by Joe Mosley.
Yeah. Don't want to bother the process down, but thank you. We work with you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, thanks.
Solid waste. Our friend is here again.
You know, we used to just call this garbage, now it's got dry trash and solid waste.
It's because we cleaned up our act.
Yeah, you know,
It's always a pleasure to serve as the object of entertainment for the commissioners, so.
what do you call the garbage truck, Gary, or you call it the sanitation truck?
Rick Luce.
Very well.
Hello, sir.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Brown, Mr. Mosley. John Culbers, one of the MSW Consultants. I think you'll be happy to know that this should be, I believe, among the shorter times you'll hear from me over the last several months. I don't want to set expectations too high, but I'm going to go for that. But really, I am here, and what I hope is really the culmination of a really important process to update the rates, the tip fees, the collection fees, and the assessments that Liberty County charges to cover in a fully, a full fashion, all of the services you provide from your customers in a fair and transparent manner. We've been through a lot of the details, and so I'm here today. We were very close about 3 weeks ago, January 16th. We got some very important feedback, though, from you, which we really needed to bring things to a close. And so as I go through today, I'm going to try to pull out some of the additional elements that we built into things, but you'll be happy to know I'm not going to go over any background. We can, I guess if we need to, we could pull up an old presentation, but essentially going to jump right into rate increases. But
yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
So, yes, sir.
Okay, very well. A very helpful piece of guidance we got last time. We went over this notion that because the county's serving both the commercial sector and also providing disposal through the transfer station, you're in an open market and you can set prices based on what the market will bear for those services. And there are other providers of both commercial collection as well as disposal and transfer services. So we got some guidance the last meeting that, hey, Liberty County, it's reasonable that if the opportunity provides itself to price county-provided services in a competitive manner within the context of the market, and that results in the ability to maybe raise revenues for Liberty County, that's worth looking at. So we took that to heart. I believe it was Commissioner Frazier that gave us that feedback last time, or at least articulated it very well. We took that and looked at, we essentially queried staff. Staff was able to do a little intel. We had some secret shoppers, went out, know something about some of the local markets, some alternative disposal locations, and as well, frankly, are in tune with customers that need roll-off services and that need commercial dumpster services. And so we were essentially able to go back and lever up a little bit some of the pricing on those commercial services. And so what you're going to see as I go back through what we really think are as good of a balancing act as we can get on a rate increase after many years and some economic hardships, I'll try to point out the impact of being able to leverage market pricing on the commercial and tip fee side and what that has done. And we were able, just jumping ahead, to lower some of the assessments that we came with the last time we were here. So as a first comment, probably the easiest thing to discern is looking at other disposal facilities. And it turns out we hit our recommended rates for the transfer station tip fees pretty well. We were essentially unchanged from what we were last time. And so all the slides I have for you today are just a presentation of a recommended rate increase. We are bringing back to you just a one-time increase, but we also are including, as part of our rates, a recommendation to build in the expectation of annual rate escalation, rather than every 5 years coming back and doing a study and having potentially a bigger stair step. We have tried to build in escalations. So that's another slightly new component. We had some escalation, but we've come back to you with the idea of reducing the one-time rate increase. In order to do that, we believe it's reasonable and are recommending a scaled annual escalation that is consistent with the consumer price index, or inflation, by various names, essentially the increase in the cost to do business. And so the first slide I have for you just reflects our recommended rate in 2025, plus a 4% rate increase. Now, the reason it's 4% is because part of the cost of that service is tied to a contract that actually escalates higher than 4%, 5.5%. But the other component of that is anchored to county staff to operate the transfer facility. And so this first slide essentially will raise your tip fees slightly. All indications are we believe the county should be competitive in the market. We don't want to drive waste away. You gain revenue from third-party waste that you do make some revenue on. And so we are believing that this should balance things out, maintain your tonnage flows, and cover your costs and provide revenue for those third-party transfer services, as well as all of the other convenience centers and commercial business waste that come through your facility. Second set of rates that are set with the market in mind are broken into two components. One are your roll-off boxes. Those are the kind of the big, either clean outs or construction site kind of big bulky waste boxes. And then the second are the commercial dumpsters, the front load containers. So we learned a lot about the backlog that the county has right now to secure roll-off service through the county. The county can't keep up with it because the rates are very, very favorable. And so we kind of stepped back and looked at what the market is charging. And you'll see a fairly substantial increase to our recommended roll-off pull fee, as well as on business polycart fee. And then finally, you'll see below what we would call the commercial rate matrix. All of the rates shown in that commercial rate matrix are for 2025. But again, we are recommending rate increases on those. So it's kind of a two-part recommendation. It is a one-time increase that's maybe a little lower than we might have had it, but it incorporates the notion of built-in annual rate escalations. Forgive me, I don't know if there may be a process. I don't know if you can accept those escalations over time or if that has to be year to year, but we are recommending that those escalations get programmed in, which is frankly consistent with every other utility service that we've looked at and we think is a best practice in sanitation as well. So now moving on, frankly, to the big one, I do have a quick summary table that just shows the complexity of all the different mix of services that the different incorporated municipalities either provide on their own, or else they use some of the county's convenience center services, or else they use the county transfer station, or they don't. Your system has actually gotten a lot more complicated since this assessment program was implemented. So this is a repeat table. I won't go into all the details other than to say we try, in the interest of fairness of setting rates, we take it very seriously to allocate the county's full cost to the municipalities only for the services that they are using or that we can reasonably confirm that they are very likely to be using. There are some collection services which are offered in some municipalities, but they're voluntary. The resident in that municipality is not required to pay for the service from the municipality. So there are a couple gray areas, and we have tried to be very thoughtful in our consideration, and that's essentially what this reminder table has been added to include. And so this brings me to your residential convenience center service. Just a quick refresher from last time. We have looked at that and confirmed in so many ways how important that is to the county, and not just to the unincorporated residents. And looking at the tonnage data, it could not be more clear that well more than county unincorporated households are making use of those facilities, keeping illegal dump sites off the street, keeping the county clean, and all indications are, really the data show how critical the convenience center services are. And so as we went back through all of the elements of using the county's transfer station and who's providing curbside collection, you'll see we have a wide range of recommended assessments. These assessments are driven, these dollar amounts are driven from the portfolio of underlying services provided by the county that each of these communities benefits from. And I think we were actually really pretty happy to be able to reduce this rate increase about 10% from what we brought you 3 weeks ago. And that was a result of being able to capitalize on some market pricing for the other commercial services. So we stand here today with what we think is as good of a rate increase that really takes the last 3 to 4 years of economic disruption from some macroeconomic events and gets the county back on the footing that you need to be on an ongoing revenue sustainability standpoint. And then we are, in conjunction with this single rate increase, we are also recommending establishing a 3% annual rate increase thereafter that is programmed in. And the idea there is so that there is less of a likelihood for, I freely admit this is a higher rate increase than I generally would like to be bringing, to you. But we want to try to avoid that in the future. And so this notion of both recommending new rates, but recommending an annual escalation, we think will position the county to be continuing to cover escalating costs of service and to minimize the shocks of potentially future increases or higher than you would like to see rate increases, which is why we brought this to you.
Before you go from that slide,
Yep.
just got a question. Like Allenhurst and North Isleville, that's a big.
Yeah, so, I'm glad you asked that because there are some of the new rates that you see recommended are strictly rate increases, but there has not been a change in service. We know that there have been some changes in the way certain municipalities do business in terms of hiring haulers who either may or may not bring their waste to the county's transfer station. So and gosh, I would like to tell you that I could rattle off exactly which ones have actually experienced changes in their system and which ones are only changes to their rates. But there is a combination. This is not strictly rate increases. Some of these rate changes reflect changes to the way those municipalities did business previously and have shifted the economics of providing service to those municipalities. I guess the other kind of related component to that is that the county had historically been, I think, very customer friendly in even in the unincorporated area, kind of giving discounts on the assessment for folks that opted to go hire third-party service. And so given how many households have gone that route, that was starting to create a revenue shortfall by offering essentially a discount that really isn't warranted under the facts of the county providing service. And so some of these rate increases, and I think most likely it's the larger ones, are where there has been a change in the underlying service or that we've recognized a pattern that ultimately is not sustainable if you're trying to run a utility that everybody benefits from. You need to be able to spread those services to all the folks that get the benefit, whether or not they decide to go out of your system and pay more money elsewhere to get essentially the same service.
Mr. Chair, just, I guess a question for Mr. Mosley and Mr. Brown. Have we been in talk with the company that's currently doing Walterville and Allenhurst pick up the trash and seeing if they're gonna be, well, obviously, we'll know by now if they're using us or not, or they taking outside of the county.
They are taking it outside the county. They haul straight to their facility. But they don't come to us. And you may remember, John actually called this, I'm gonna call it a convenience fee. That's a kind of a bad term. It is an asset sustainability fee if you don't come to us. Because basically, if they fault out, they're coming to us.
Right.
It's our responsibility to provide sanitation countywide and provide the services and assets related thereto. And so, yeah, okay, choose somebody else. We lose your revenue stream, but we've got to maintain certain fixed assets and certain facilities for your care in case something happens. And so that is what you see. So if you're using our facility, I'm not gonna say you get a credit, but you don't pay really that overhead sustainability fee. And if you look at it that way, then those who don't use our facility are paying an overhead sustainability fee so that we, for your sanitary purposes, are providing countywide certain transfer stations and things like that. That is what's getting passed on to those other municipalities now.
Well, I mean, but if we're looking at the increase, correct? Of course, we see there's a significant increase with Allenhurst and Walterville. And we understand that Walterville had the contract for Allenhurst and was doing it all together collectively, right? But then, and I hear what you're saying, but every last municipality, Allenhurst, basically Midway, Riceboro, and Walterville, now with the recommendation of the rate, are all exactly the same. So is it because, I guess, what, Midway, well, never mind, I look at my sheet down here. So everyone uses a third party for the most part, except technically the city of Hinesville, right? So that's why.
Yeah, same thing, they contract too with.
Right, right, but at least they keep it at home.
Yes, that's right.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That's exactly right.
So that's the difference, okay. Because I don't know if you all been paying attention to the city council meetings in Walterville, but yeah, fire and trash pickup is a hot topic down there. So, they're already a little, I guess, excited in a negative way down there about trash pickup. So are we gonna send a representative down there or send a letter, just let them know?
Well, actually what happens is, this is billed on the tax bills. And so these residential assessments are, so they're collected by the tax commissioner as part of that. So it won't be actually a bill payable, correct, solid waste fee, so.
It's not that monthly trash bill, it's a solid waste fee.
Solid waste fee, yes, sir. So that's the cost there. So Midway's cost, if you look, not Midway's, but the Citizen of Midway's cost, for the assessment over there, $77.94 is actually $6.50 a month that those folks would be paying to handle, dispose, yeah. So it's not really.
Listen,
yeah.
I get it. I'm
Yeah,
just
it's pretty
saying,
good.
have y'all been watching the meetings?
Oh, yeah.
'Cause they're upset down there about $3.
Yep.
So I'm just,
Well-
I guess it goes back to us just, informing the citizens that this is what is going down the pipeline.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question there. On the 3% increase from 26 to 29? That's on the resident, on this one?
Yes,
That page there?
yes, Commissioner, that is correct.
So we're currently at that rate, and then next year it will go to this, the recommended?
Correct.
Or is it gonna go there in 3 years?
No, correct. So 2025, essentially, next cycle, it would go on the next
To the recommended
cycle would go to
rate.
recommended, and then
Okay.
subsequent years, it would go up a 3.
And
We're recommending a 3% escalation.
So over the next 3 years, it goes up?
Right, it would nudge up each year, and forgive me, I don't know the exact mechanics of that, but I think we would include that as for your consideration as well, as that 3% escalation. So these numbers would nudge up a little bit year to year.
Will it go up year to year until it gets, let's look at Allenhurst. It goes to 77.94. Year it will go up, or is that the total?
No,
26 to 29.
It's gonna go up
it would go up each year above that $77 each year, so it would.
In 2029, we'll be.
It'd be in the low 80s somewhere, yeah, somewhere in the low 80s, something like that, that's right.
That's right.
Yep.
And they would not actually see that, the reason we have to do this in February is so the assessment notice can carry a potential cost. And so this would actually appear on the tax notices for 2025 later in the year. So it actually is a collectible in '26.
I understand the rationale for Allenhurst, Walterville, but walk me through the rationale for county unincorporated polycart subscribers.
Yes. When this assessment was first implemented, the vast majority of county unincorporated households, we believed, and all data suggested, they were bringing their putrescible waste, their bulky waste, their dry trash, everything to your convenience centers. As the system got in place, as people moved in from out of town, there grew a cottage industry of households that would call private haulers to just give them a polycart, and that essentially they wanted to not have to take their trash to the convenience center. They wanted to just pay for polycart service. So as that grew up, we essentially credited those households. And when I say we, the county, and considering, hey, we're still getting that waste across the transfer station, so we're going to get tip fee revenue, so we can offset. We don't want to double charge, right? We don't want to double charge. But the discount that was offered to those residents wasn't just for the disposal portion, it was also for the convenience center collection portion. So there was a little bit of a friendly discount, a bigger than arguably should have been established discount early on. And when there were only 100 homes in the unincorporated area that had subscribed to Polycart, that wasn't a big deal. Over the last 7 years, that 100 homes has grown up. I think it was 1,300 homes, if I remember correctly. So now extending a discount to 1,300 homes was actually having a material impact on revenue recovery from the county unincorporated areas. And so we've now differentiated to be very explicit that folks that don't get a polycart, a private hauler to provide polycart, they're using your system, they're going to pay the full rate. So that's that top row of convenience center only. That means these are the folks that they're committed to the convenience center, so they're going to pay the full cost of the convenience center, collection, disposal, bulky, dry trash, the whole deal. However, for the polycart subscribers, we know that the hauler that provides that service brings the waste to the transfer station, and that the county's going to get the revenue through tip fees of the waste from those polycart subscribers. And so we've adjusted the polycart subscribers so that we're not double charging the disposal, because that's coming to the county through the tip fees, not through the assessment. But that's closed the gap quite a bit in the cost, but it also has now allowed the county to not be losing legitimate revenue just from sort of a grassroots movement that got big. We've tried to really look at that and analyze that, and so that's why you see a fairly high number, but that does not double count. In fact, if you think about it, it's call it $50 off. Well, the average household generates about 1 ton of waste a year. Your tip fee's $50 a ton. It's a 1-to-1 offset essentially. That is not double charging the polycart subscribers for disposal 2 times.
And that's a little bit, so it really probably ought to say, polycart private subscribers. So those are subscribers
That's
of
right,
people
yeah,
that have
that's a
a
good
private person come pick them up, not the county. Those aren't our subscribers. The only ones that we really do is Rice Spur Rural Curbside.
Yeah, and I guess, it's the folks who have voluntarily opted to pay another third-party provider, give them Polycart over and above the service that they already enjoy from the county convenience centers.
Joey, and Clint, you too, I want you to weigh in on it. What we're doing here, so I'm trying to get my hands around the process for us to disposing of garbage has gotten costlier and costlier. I mean, what we're doing here, is this gonna carry on for any work that's gotta be done at the transfer station? Any work that you are looking at as far as replacing trucks and employees? Now, I don't know, we have talked about one person on that truck in the Flemington area, that ain't gonna work. So, I mean, you're gonna have 2 people to get in and out of there, and I just, going up on something probably, we're a little bit out of date on it, I think we are, but we need to make sure that these numbers right here don't make no astronomical amount of cash, but that you're still gonna be able, I mean, that's a separate total thing, solid waste, besides the road department. I know you got to look after it, but I just wanna make sure that on your end, I mean, you got, some, dumpsters that'll have to be replaced.
Yeah, there's money built in there for replacement of dumpsters, cans, and the idle light improvement is in there. Everything. And when you talk about some of the cities, like y'all see where Allenhurst and Midway and what they've all is the same rate, well, they offer polycop service, but they don't offer the dry trash service anymore, walk out with them. So, and they can, walk out with kind of give them an option to opt out and use our convenience centers. That's a, we don't have no way to know.
No, who is, yeah.
Right.
So we're making it fair to everybody. If you don't have a dry trash service, you know, City of Hinesville provides dry trash. They're the only ones now that's providing dry trash. We do for the city of Flemington, but hopefully that's fixing to go away.
Well, let me ask you then, on Bill Carter Road, the new subdivisions there, that's gonna require, buying new polycarts, I assume. I don't know what they'll have in there. Will that be?
It'll be
solid?
private.
We don't offer polycart.
It'll be private.
So that'll be a private meeting. Okay, so this, in Flemington, is it polycart?
Flemington is polycart.
County.
Dry trash pickup, but
We do it.
And we have a recommendation for Flemington coming up. I think that's our last recommendation.
We're not taking on any new subdivisions.
Well, no, I'm just saying, regardless, they're gonna get trash out of somewhere. I mean, there's gonna be dry trashes.
It
This
is.
is one thing that I'm thinking about.
It is.
You know, you're gonna have, yard clippings, tree limbs and stuff like that. You're gonna have to, they'll have to carry them.
That's that county
And I wanna make sure
unincorporated.
that-
charge them
Yeah.
rather than more. Like John said, I think in the past, they may have been getting more of a discount than they should have if you had a private hauler, private polycart. I got a little more break than you should have got. So,
But now that's,
catches that up.
it's programmed in now to this new figures.
Well, that's the, I mean, numbers is great and systems and stats, but I mean, in the end, it's, are you gonna be able to, or are you, or down the line, are we gonna be able to, you know, make ends meet? I know the trucks are what, $300,000-$400,000 now?
400, better than 400 for
So-
truckload trucks. And they went up so much in the last 5 years, we haven't adjusted this in so long, so we're behind.
Mhm.
And now if we do it
Every year.
You know, if we get 5 years from now, we ain't
Mhm.
having such. a-
Out of kilter.
Well, let's put it on the calendar then. Every February, let's put it out there, or whenever you think it's right. Mr. Mosley.
It'll be
or
automatic.
Joey, or whoever. Clint?
Commissioner Stevens?
Chairman, Mr. Wells, I heard what the chairman said, we're not doing any more polycarts. But now with the subdivision on Bill Carter Road and the one down at,
Out of what?
Isle of Wight Road, the convenience center down there is overrun. So we need to step up and do what we need to do to both of these convenience centers, because it's being overrun. You gotta go down there on Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon and take a look at it.
We've got plans now working towards relocating Isle of Wight,
Right.
you know, making it bigger.
And actually, I failed to mention at the outset, and I should have, the Isle of Wight relocation and enhancement is, there's a capital improvement plan for that very project that is included in these full costs. So that's actually another slight upward pressure. We actually worked with the county's finance department to get the bonding, the cost of debt to float that. So we've built in the projected debt service that would be needed and program that into these rates. So that's yet another factor planning. So we're both catching up from 5 years, and we're actually now planning ahead and trying to get back out ahead in that Isle of Wight project, which I recognize the name. I don't maybe have the details, but that specifically was added since the last meeting to make sure we had that programmed in.
But that's just the Isle of Wight. What about the Miller Park?
So,
We're running into the same situation on both.
I might ask for help from staff on Miller Park. I don't,
I don't think we've got nothing in it right now.
yeah, because I know we gotta,
One at a time because,
yeah,
you know, it's so expensive. If we try to
Yeah.
get the citizens with all of them at one time.
yeah.
Get anything accomplished.
Probably in three years, 26 to
How many are in
29,
total?
should be able to get it.
Gum Branch. And then you move on to JV Road.
Gun Branch, JV, Miller Park, Peyton Rogers, Limerick, Isle of Wight, and East End.
So?
Okay.
And probably JB of
Is-
some work
is-
soon.
Butler, Charlie Butler Road, is that in the city of, any of that in the city of
Midway.
Midway?
I'm not sure.
There's some.
So I guess another question, and thank you for great information. So as far as timelines are concerned, we're gonna do Isle of Wight first?
Right. Because the Isle of Wight, we were thinking about changing the
I
structure
remember.
of the road. at
So
the
Trent's
same
working
time.
on that?
Yes, sir, he is.
Okay.
Yes, sir, he is.
When should there be some,
I know he's got a preliminary design on it, and we talked about the estimate as part of this
I
project.
think we built the preliminary design cost
We-
into
we
this
did.
estimate, yeah.
We did, so he's.
well, good, I'm glad you
should be-
factored all that in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then we're gonna go to the one that's most used, correct? Okay,
Both of them.
okay, I understand. Mr. Chair, just another question. So, I don't know how those contracts work with a third party. Maybe Commissioner Gillett knows a little bit about this with dealing with the transfer station. So hypothetically speaking, if a third party, if we get, I guess, speak with the municipality and say, hey, listen, you know, we're going up on this cost because the third party isn't using our transfer station, and we have to offset it some type of way. Is there any way contractual in their agreement that they could say, hey, listen, we don't mind using y'all, but if y'all don't use our transfer station, we're gonna charge you this price. But if y'all do use the transfer station, then the price could be negotiated? Is there any way?
So, I mean, I guess that'd be up to the city to say, look, we want our residents to have a lower rate imposed by the county on the other residential services that you get. In looking out for the citizens, we'd like for you to use their transfer facility. And John can comment on this. They have their own landfill disposal site. So, you know, that would cost them more. So they would just pass that cost on to the city.
Gotcha.
To do that.
Okay.
If I may, the dynamic, as Liberty County grows, and as your waste business becomes more attractive to third-party haulers who want to take your waste and take it out of county, you're moving into kind of another market dynamic. There are many counties around the country that recognize that if they don't take steps to secure their own waste, they're gonna lose it. It may be worth talking about, I'm getting a little out of scope here, but it may be worth thinking about some sort of interlocal agreement between the county and its municipalities, because there's safety and there's lower unit cost in numbers.
Right.
And bringing all the tons through the county transfer station, it would enable the county to charge to have the lowest unit cost. So many counties around the country, especially as you get up into the mid-Atlantic area towards some of the more populated Northeast corridor, have gone the route of getting interlocal agreements to bring the municipalities and the county in alignment and to recognize that there just are economic benefits to staying together in a system. So you're really, because you've been rural and haven't had that out-of-county poaching,
Right.
you're kind of working your way up to that, but it's worth having that on your radar because from an economic standpoint, it just makes a ton of sense. So that's
Yeah,
out of
'cause
scope.
I'm not thinking about just from 2026 to 29. I'm talking about year 2039. Hopefully, we're all still here. But what I'm saying is, at that time, we're not looking at $77. We're looking at $100 or so. And then it's gonna just keep going and going and going. As long as we're talking about subdivisions being built with a couple hundred houses. And, of course, from a private sector, absolutely, Liberty County is attractive. And it's attractive because the other municipalities don't have their own trash collection. We're trying to get out of business. If I was a businessman, I would put every effort I have to like you said, approach every last municipality here. So, I mean, I don't know. I understand the rate recommendation. I'm not just thinking about today, though, thinking about the future, so.
Yeah, future market dynamics will very strongly influence how things go.
By far.
And the recognition that that's coming and thinking about how local governments can continue providing those services in a unified manner is a very thoughtful thing to be ahead of. And frankly, I mean, I can't count, I don't have enough fingers to count all the municipalities that have struggled, whether counties or large cities, that have not recognized that dynamic. So it's hard to get ahead of, but it is so important. And even, I always thought about it, the phrase of essentially an infrastructure access fee. I mean, the county provides critical infrastructure, and so even that concept is, again, not something you need maybe as a rural county 20 years ago when the assessments came into play, but as you're growing and becoming a fast-growing, attractive waste market, recognizing the value of being able to serve your infrastructure is very, very important. And we've tried to position the county to not get caught off guard, and suddenly Hinesville says, oh, we're leaving your system. And there goes, 60% of your tonnage, right? We need to avoid that at all costs. So it's a process, and it just keeps changing as you grow and as the waste business market dynamics change. So I think those are really good comments.
I guess, Mr. Chair, we probably need to look at something dealing with that. Slow down the bleeding, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, we think that these rate increases have implemented some key policies and corrected some sort of historical oversights in allowing more discounts than we should have had. And we also think that these rate increases now capture the true dynamics of the municipalities. For example, that's, they offer the service, but you can opt out and use the county's convenience center. Well, that's not really an exclusive service. That's a voluntary service. So we've really used this cycle of cost of service review and rate updating to try to catch all the little gotchas that have built up over the last 5 years, and then also build ahead for the Isle of Wight. This is a pretty serious checkup exercise that we've been through to get to this point, and I think we're trying to, if we can get there, we're trying to hopefully leave you to not have to go through kind of this level of falling behind, with the notion of also recommending escalation in addition to just these one-time pretty significant rate increases. I do want to quickly mention, so this is a little bit of a redundant slide in terms of the final recommendations, but the key one that I have not talked about, it's also a reminder that given these growth dynamics and given the staffing and vehicle requirements of the county to serve its convenience centers in the unincorporated area, we also are recommending that the current Flemington Polycart service contract be allowed to expire and not be renewed by the county. If Flemington wants to secure that Polycart service, have them go to the private market. And so I think that's the only recommendation that I hadn't mentioned. And I think if you do believe or think it's reasonable to have a built-in rate escalation after this initial rate increase, you probably don't need to be looking as closely at your financial performance after 2 or 3 years. If you just decide, hey, let's not do an escalation, let's just do the rate increase, you might want to take a peek at your books and at the general fund, kind of the balance of the owed to the general fund. There's probably some chance it's not going to be performing as well. So that last bullet is a little bit of just a checkup. Have a checkup every 3 years, and then kind of update your rates every 5 years. But we think that the recommendations taken in the whole, with the one-time rate increases across the board to the different services, to the different levels, truing up to market pricing, getting the county back up to full financial revenue recovery, along with the escalations, puts the county back on really good footing after just a kind of unprecedented prior 5 years. So.
When does the Flemington contract end?
At the end of this year.
End of this year. Okay, and you did tell me they had been duly notified that, okay.
So, once that contract ends, will their price change from our recommendation of $257 and go to that $77.94?
Yeah, so that's right. So their price would go down. There would be a little bit of a true up at that point. But yes, that would shift them into a different assessment class. That's correct.
All
It
right.
would also reduce overtime requirements and reduce some expenses and increase existing staffing to be able to then essentially keep up with some of the growth that's occurring in some of the convenience centers. So that there's a little bit of method to the madness. It's not only not serving Flemington, it's also not having to increase existing staff to keep, keep up with the growth. So there's a little bit of a balance that goes on there when Flemington gets to drop off.
Okay.
And hence the recommendation.
Mr. Wells, you concur with that, sir?
Clinton, let's get you out of the red. This will get you out of the red, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Chair, entertain a motion.
Well, yeah, I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, let's move forward.
Second, somebody? Motion and second, we approve the solid waste service plan as presented. Thank you, Mr. John, for coming back
So
in to
much.
present. Thank you, staff,
Appreciate your
for your
input.
intervention
Super
in
helpful.
this, and we look forward to this, and I feel good that we've notified Flemington, because I don't want to do a knee-jerk reaction to anybody. As well as Mr. Payne is here, so these new numbers will go out on our assessors notices to the public, so everybody will be informed. All right, and hopefully they will have heard why we're doing it. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, show of hands, please. All right, motion passes. Thank you so much, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Culberson and staff. Hotel motel tax agreement.
Chairman, this is the intergovernmental agreement that you viewed last time that Ms. Poole brought for you. And basically, it is an amendment to the current agreement that takes the extra proceeds from hotel motel tax that was increased and sends it over to the Convention and Visitors Bureau for dedicated projects that may be decided by both parties. And it's here for your approval tonight.
Both parties or all parties? Brief, correct?
Well, yeah, it would be all parties. Of course, if y'all didn't agree with whatever the proposed project was, any one entity, it could bog that down, but yeah, sir, it is.
Okay. Chair, entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, show of hands, please. We've been working on that for a while. Glad to see it come to fruition. The funds are being collected. All right. Board appointments.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, we had two members of the tax assessor's office that wanted to be reappointed, Lee Steele and Susan Amons, and that's the recommendation of the committee.
Chair, entertain a motion to that fact.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now, that's your motion. I'm just,
Yes, sir.
okay. Commissioner Frazier, we consider that the motion. Will someone else second that motion, please?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
All right, motion is second that we have. Give me the names again, please, ma'am.
Susan Amons and Lee Steele.
They want to be reappointed. I think they've done a good job for us.
Reappointed.
Any further discussion? All in favor, show of hands, please. Those persons are reappointed to serve.
All right, Mr. Payne, got your members back, got your board members.
All right, that it for,
Yes, sir, that's all that we have.
okay. Commissioner, before, let's see. Yeah, let me do the before I get into that. Walden, would you like to make a comment about the loss of one of our citizens, your neighbor and?
Yeah, my
friend?
neighbor, who at one time did work with the firm that audited the county, Larry Golden, who had his own private accounting office with a partner, and then was involved in so many different things, it's gonna be hard to remember them all, but he was a member of, the founding member with the Fraser Foundation, Glenn and Trudy Bryant Trust. I think he was executor and administrator over a lot of different things. He was well-known in the community and a close friend, and he will be missed.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about his arrangements. I'm sure they'll be posted, but, when we started building the Y, Chairman, you were involved in that. Mr. Frazier asked Larry to help him, and he did that, and they set money aside, and they did things with, Mr. Ratcliffe was involved in it, so you don't never know what you had until they're gone, and I can tell you, that's been a void in my area. I talked to Joey, your father-in-law, this evening, and he said, I didn't even know he was sick. And he'd been sick a little bit a while, but he worked close with Coast Utilities and the
Oh, yes,
transfer
he did.
into, I guess it was Madison River when they bought it out. Worked with us on a number of places. In fact, some of the property that was a joint ventureship between him and some other members where the new Justice Center's at. He helped that, so very close friends with Mr. M.L. Kofer, the chairman that sit up here. So again, just be in prayer for his family. He's got 2 boys, and I think 2 grandchildren, and a wife, and you know, we want everybody to be thinking about him because he will be missed.
You will. Always had Liberty County at heart. Always
He
had
did.
Liberty County at heart. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for his service. Administrative report.
Chairman, initial report, and Mr. Brown will come with another report. Want to let you know the Animal Services, we provide microchipping on this coming Saturday at the Miller Park Fire Station, I believe beginning in the morning, so they want the general public to come out. We are entertaining proposals for update to our hazard mitigation plan, and we'll be bringing the recommendation to the board at the forthcoming meeting. And also, we'll be advertising for our field maintenance. You guys have been approving a 2-year contract for the Recreation Department on their fields, so we'll be advertising that soon. We're in the process now. We got a meeting set up with our health insurance broker to discuss our health insurance, how it's done over the past 6 months, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And also, we're working with Mr. Bob Seville on obtaining prices for our property and casualty, which will be renewed in the month of April. So we'll be bringing that recommendation to you guys in the month of April.
Any questions for Mr. Mosley?
Mr. Mosley, did we finalize the date for our annual planning review?
Oh, I'm
Was it
sorry.
March 19th?
So the consensus for the members was pretty much March the 19th and March the 20th. And the 20th.
19th and 20th on
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
airport. Thank
yes,
you.
ma'am. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes, sir. So,
I
Cap.
want to ask a question too.
Yes, sir.
And Joey, you might be able to help. Has there been any update for the employees that on retirement? I mean, is there any new programs that's out there that we need to look at, or how are our employees doing with their, with their retirement? I mean, cost of living's went up, other things, so I just wanted to ask that program, and maybe when's the last time they met with those individuals, each department, whether it's roads, fire. I mean, we've got a lot of people that, let's just try to keep up on that. I know at one time it was in bad shape. I don't take the retirement, and I don't intend to, but I just wanted to, you see Clint, Joe, and yourself, and a lot of people that's involved in it, but just want to make sure that it's going to be decent for them to live on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I won't get too much into weeds this late. We'll bring you an analysis on that. You got really an old plan you separated from that some folks are under, and then you went into a participatory plan that you make a sustained match, and then you're out. So it's a set amount. But we'll be glad to bring you a breakdown on who's in and some of those things.
Or maybe even at our annual review, Mr. Mosley. We can't get that in March. Maybe we can get it at our annual planning session. Then we can give a report for those who wasn't available those 2 days.
Be glad to.
That way we have some time to talk about it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There's really no tweak since you're in that other program. We'll go through it, but there's tiered levels that the employees can participate in, and you increase as they increase. So it is the market program that you see in business and in government. So it's good. So it's not the old DB plan as we know it. We continue to make payments into that DB plan. You budget for that every year. In that, we are rapidly reaching a little above, close to a 73% participation rate in that program. Once you reach that mark, you start to get certain credits, so your cost will come down each year on your budget for that. Now, they're affected by many other things, but we can talk about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And I'll have a facilities update for you, capital project update for those 25, 27 projects now that you've got on your improvement list that are either in the works, under construction, or finishing construction for that. And I guess the only thing I say is, he mentioned good and bad and ugly on the insurance plans. Boy, let me knock on wood, and I'm not going to say go overboard with it. Preliminary looks at your health, at your comp and collision plan, automobile stuff that you went partial self-funded on are very, very good. And the changes you made to your health insurance plan and the return and savings that it is making up through 6 months is exceeding expectations, which will allow you to build those two funds up stronger, maybe increase the offering level, reach a better level of sustainability. So you made some good decisions there related to property, casualty, and health insurance on self-funding to kind of control your costs. So
Let me go ahead and ask you then, I know there had been some discussion about perhaps we should combine efforts with some local entities.
yeah, you don't really get any bang for the buck there. In fact, you increase some liability for doing that. I think, I think we had, it may have been when one of the underwriters was here, Bob Seville maybe, when Bob was doing his presentation, we asked that question. But you then increase your level of funding requirement, and especially if you're self-funding, then you really don't engage another party to do that. Yes, I think really this is you took a step to be on the progressive side of what markets are doing now. You've taken the next leap, if you will, in trying to control your destiny going forward. And it's a very proactive step you took rather than sitting back and continuing to pay large chunks into what you were doing. So,
Mr. Chairman, I had one more question. Mr. Brown, this annexation that we have on our desk, is that another parcel of what Mr. TR is doing?
it is for the home, yes, yes,
So
ma'am.
this is another
This is an
development.
additional annexation piece above what we looked at out that same way. And it was one that he was forecasting to make after phase one was complete. And I think what you're seeing is the home sales are out there in advance. And so he's recognizing the market is strong enough that he can start with phase two. And apologize if we have not been getting you the annexation notices as they come. We always get them. And I provide them to Planning and Zoning, Road Department, and County Engineer, since they know where those boundary lines start and stop for offering services.
Okay.
Commissioners, are we okay with receiving this as information, annexation reports? Because Joey's right, we've been.
It's just information only.
Yeah, we don't need to.
No action, just information.
No, ma'am, there's really nothing unless,
Huge development once it gets completed.
the annexation statute, which is proposed for a few changes, really does not allow you to stop annexation from occurring, except for 3 or 4 factors. I'll be glad to get you those. This one doesn't qualify as any of those. The only thing we have to let them know is if we have any infrastructure, i.e. vertical construction, inside those areas proposed to be annexed, and if we do, there are certain requirements on the annexing agency to take care of those.
I don't recall, I think it'd be good to have those 3 or 4 factors. I don't recall in ACCG them telling us what would stop an annexation. I don't remember.
I don't know.
So I
It's
think we need-
basically conflict with our comprehensive growth plan. There has to be a conflict with zoning, conflict with your plan, and then you acknowledge that, and service delivery, thank
Well,
you.
we know with that many homes going out there, that recycling center, trash convenience center
gonna
is gonna
pick
be
up,
hit
yeah.
pretty hard. On
Yes.
Davy Road,
Yes,
Off of
except
Davy
that,
Road.
for the good contractor that the city engages to pick up polycarts and dry trash
Polycart,
there,
but the dry
they'll
trash
definitely
going
be
in.
impacted. They'll definitely be impacted.
They'll be in the city.
He said, don't even worry about it.
And that
Keep up the
could
good work down there,
be,
Commissioner.
listen, that could be, as you look forward, that center could be one that you want to do something different with.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
May relocate.
Tucked up in there, it's just, yeah.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Stevens, I'm sorry.
Mr. Brown and Mr. Mosley, have you all made any progress on notifying the company in Riceboro about the funds that are there?
They just closed last week, that deal. I read about it in the news. They officially closed last week, so now I was going to try to reach out, one of us reach out to contact them.
Because I've gotten used for that funding if they can't come up and help us.
It's in the bank, right?
It's in the bank. I mean, that's a total commission project, so yes, sir,
okay.
y'all will
All
decide
right.
how y'all do that money if in fact the project comes away.
Okay.
And that's all for the good of the order?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
have y'all had the opportunity to read over my emails that I've been sending?
I did.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All in favor?